People think the Amazon is all parrots and waterfalls and jungle adventure. They don't tell you about the silence. Not real silence, not the absence of sound, but the kind where every sound makes you stop breathing. Where the trees press in and even the birds feel like they're watching. I went with two friends. Or I guess I should say I started with two friends. Simon and Danny. We were all mid-30s, burnt out in different ways. Simon was a travel writer, always looking for authentic experiences. Danny had just lost her job at a nonprofit and wanted to reconnect with wildness, whatever that meant. I was just there, tagging along. I didn't even really want to go. I'd had a bad feeling about it for weeks. I just didn't want to be the one who said no. We flew into Iquitos, met up with a local fixer Simon had found online, a wiry guy named Arnaldo who only had half of one eyebrow and wouldn't meet your eye. He agreed to take us upriver for 2 days to reach an untouched tributary that barely showed up on maps. This place, he said, not for tourists. That should have been our first clue. The boat dropped us at a muddy bank where the main river forked in 2 directions. The left side was wide and brown and lazy. The right was narrow, black, and so still it looked like glass. The air was heavier on that side, like it didn't move right. This part is old, Arnaldo said, not looking at it. Old even to the jungle. Simon just grinned and said, perfect. Well, we hiked in. The first day was brutal. Dense canopy. Humidity like soup. Everything felt like it was breathing. We saw no wildlife. Not even bugs. Just tangled vines and trees that looked wrong, too smooth. No birdsong, just the occasional loud crack of something falling in the distance. No echo. Danny started saying she felt watched. She wasn't joking either. She kept turning around, shining her headlamp at nothing. We set up camp near the bank of a smaller stream that trickled in from the right fork. That night the noises started. Not animal calls, not insect. These were rhythmic, tapping sounds, and threes, like knuckles on wood. Then silence, then again. Closer. I whispered to Simon, what is that? Oh, he didn't answer. He just sat upright in his sleeping bag, eyes wide, like he was listening to something under the sound. Danny cried that night. Just quietly. Didn't even say why. None of us asked. The next day, Simon said he wanted to keep going upriver deeper. Danny was already freaking out, but he convinced her. I didn't say anything. I just followed. Mid-morning, we found the clearing. It wasn't marked on any map. It wasn't even really clear. Just a space where the trees fell away, revealing an enormous ancient mound. Overgrown but unmistakable. Maybe 20 feet tall, made of black stones, some carved with symbols that made my skin crawl to look at. Spirals, lines, rows of teeth. Simon walked straight to it like he knew it would be there. We shouldn't be here, Danny said, staring at the mound. This is wrong. Well, Simon didn't answer. He took out his camera. But every time he clicked the shutter, the screen went black. Just static. Not even error messages, just nothing. The moment we stepped away from the mound, the camera worked again. But the photos were all blank. We camped nearby. There wasn't a trail back, and night comes fast in the jungle. That was the last time I saw Simon. He left the tent around midnight. I woke up to the zipper sound. Figured he was peeing. But after 10 minutes, he didn't come back. I called out nothing. We searched for hours with our headlamps. The forest just swallowed the light. His tracks led back to the mound and then stopped. No signs of struggle. No signs of anything. Just gone. We left his gear. Danny was shaking so hard I had to hold her shoulders while she tried to pack. We didn't even try to eat. We just moved. But the jungle had changed. The way back didn't look the same. The trees looked closer together. And worse, the stream which we were using to guide us back was flowing the wrong way. Uphill. That was when Danny started muttering. Something about echoes. She said it's not a place. It's a thing pretending to be a place. At first I thought she was just losing it. But then I noticed something. When I stepped in a muddy patch, I left no footprints. None. We weren't going back. We were going deeper. She ran. I don't blame her. I tried to follow, but the jungle just separated us. I screamed her name until I was hoarse. Never saw her again. I spent 2 days walking. Or maybe more. Time got strained. The sun stopped rising properly. It would just appear overhead like it had been there all along. No dawn, no dusk. The sky was the same gray no matter the hour. I started hearing voices. Sometimes mine, sometimes my mother's. Once I swear to God I heard Simon laughing. But it was behind me. Eventually I stopped walking, sat on a moss-covered log and waited. And then Arnaldo found me. He claims he never left the boat. Said I stumbled out of the trees 3 days later, filthy, dehydrated, alone. Said I kept repeating the same phrase in some language he didn't recognize. He won't take anyone back there. Doesn't even name it now. I don't know how I got out. I don't know what I saw. I don't even know if I really left. Sometimes when I close my eyes, I see that mound. And something beneath it listening. I don't usually travel alone, but this trip was a gift to myself. I just turned 30, got out of a long, dragging relationship, and figured, screw it, time to see more of the world. So I booked a 2-week backpacking trip across Romania. I wanted something less touristy than Western Europe. Something raw. The Carpathian Mountains were stunning. Thick pine forests, old stone villages tucked into the valleys, and trails that felt untouched by time. I was staying at a little guest house in a village called Mosu de Sus, barely more than a handful of houses and a church with a rusted bell tower. The owner, Nicolta, was sweet, spoke a little English, and gave me a paper map with some hiking routes. She pointed to a hill in the distance, not one of the big, dramatic peaks, just a wide, sloping rise covered in trees. "No go there," she said, tapping the edge of the paper. "Old trail. Not safe." "Why?" She just smiled and said, "Not for tourists." I should have left it alone. But I'm the kind of idiot who hears "don't go" and immediately adds it to the must-see list. So the next morning I set out early. Packed water, snacks, my camera. The trail was faint, barely more than a deer path, and I had to climb over a crumbled stone fence to find it. It felt wrong. Still, like the trees were listening. About half an hour in, I noticed something odd. Little wooden carvings nailed to the trees, faces twisted and grotesque. Some smiling too wide, some with eyes scratched out. They looked handmade like folk art. Creepy but fascinating. I took pictures. I even posted one to my Instagram story with the caption, "If I disappear, tell Nicolta she was right." That post never uploaded. The trail climbed steeply, then opened into a clearing. There were maybe 5 or 6 wooden cabins, old, weather-beaten roof tiles missing. Smoke drifted from a small fire pit in the center. No roads in or out. No wires. Just there. And people. Not many. Maybe 7 or 8. Dressed plainly, long coats, earth colors, wool caps. They were standing in a circle around the fire. Not speaking. Just standing. Perfectly still. I froze at the tree line. They didn't turn. Didn't acknowledge me. I watched for maybe a minute, then cleared my throat and said something dumb like, "Hey, sorry." Just hiking through. Oh, nothing. Not even a glance. Then one of them, a tall man with long gray hair, knelt by the fire and started whispering. Not in Romanian. Not any language I recognized. Rhythmic like a chant. The others followed. That's when I decided to leave. Quietly, slowly, I backed away and retraced my steps. Or tried to. Because the trail was gone. I swear to God, it just wasn't there anymore. The same trees, same slope, but no path. No broken fence. Just forest. I started to panic, tried walking in a straight line, thinking I'd hit a road eventually, but the trees just kept going. And going. And then I heard the bell. A low metallic toll. Not from the village church, this was closer. Much closer. I followed it. I shouldn't have. The sound led me to another clearing. Smaller, empty at first. Then I saw the stone. A flat rectangular slab. Moss-covered, carved with strange symbols I didn't recognize. Next to it was a pile of shoes. Old cracked leather boots, sneakers, sandals. Some modern, some ancient-looking. All dusty, abandoned. There was something wet on the stone. I turned and ran. Just ran. Branches cut my arms, I fell more than once. I didn't care. Eventually I found a stream and followed it downhill. After what felt like hours, I stumbled onto a dirt road, the one I'd driven in on. My guest house was still a mile off, but I didn't stop. Nicolta was out front hanging laundry. When she saw me, her face went pale. "You went to the hill," she said. Not a question. I nodded. Couldn't speak yet. My lungs were fire. She brought me inside, gave me water. Didn't ask questions. Just said, "You are lucky." They don't always let people go. That night I heard the bell again. Not far. Not from the church. It rang once, then silence. When I checked my phone the next morning, my Instagram app had crashed. The photo, the one of the carvings, was gone. Not just from the post. From my camera roll too. The strangest part, every photo I'd taken that day was missing. Every single one, except one. It was a blurry shot. Looks like I'd taken it by accident mid-run. But in the corner, partially obscured by trees, was a figure. One of them, watching me, smiling. I've always hiked alone. It's kind of my thing. My job's high-pressure corporate logistics, so getting out into the wilderness a couple weekends a month is how I reset. No phones, no emails, just dirt and trees and sky. Nothing to prove. Just quiet. This happened in August last year. I'd taken a long weekend and driven out to New Mexico, the Gila Wilderness. It's rugged, not too touristy, and I found this old trail on a topo map that looped down through a ravine and followed a dry creek bed for a while before climbing back out. About 11 miles, perfect for an overnight. Weather was good, gear was good. I even brought my nice camera, thinking I might catch some sunrise shots in the morning. I was feeling solid. The first day went fine. Hot, dry, but manageable. The trail wasn't well maintained, so I had to push through some brush in places, and I didn't see a single other person all day, which was normal out there. Set up camp near the creek bed, even though it was bone dry. You get used to that in the desert. That night around 10 p.m, I was just starting to doze off when I heard something. Footsteps, crunching slowly on gravel. At first I figured it was a deer. Mule deer are everywhere out there, but then I heard it again. 2 steps. Stop. 3 more. Stop. Deliberate. I sat up, unzipped the tent, and shone my flashlight out. The beam hit the ravine wall, some scrub brush, nothing else. Hello? I called. Nothing. Then I heard it again. Off to the left this time. Closer. It was pitch black outside my light's range, and the way the canyon walls curved, sound bounced strangely. Made it hard to tell where anything was coming from. I stayed awake, listening. It stopped after a while, and I eventually convinced myself it was just an animal. Maybe a coyote. I didn't sleep great, but I stayed put. In the morning, I walked around the area looking for tracks. Found some hoof prints, probably deer. I did notice something odd though, a small pile of rocks near my tent. 3 flat stones stacked right by the fire pit. I hadn't made that. Didn't even gather rocks for the fire. It looked recent. I kicked it over. Told myself it was nothing. That's the thing, when you're alone, your brain wants things to be nothing. You tell yourself stories to stay calm. I didn't want to think someone else might have been there, sneaking around in the dark. That kind of thinking will mess you up quick when you're miles from the nearest road. I packed up and kept moving. The trail narrowed as it followed the bottom of the ravine. Steep walls, dry scrub. Felt like walking through a skeleton. No birds, just the occasional buzz of flies. At one point, I came across what looked like a piece of clothing stuck in a mesquite bush, an old flannel shirt, sun-bleached and torn. I didn't touch it, just kept walking. About 2 miles in, I started seeing boot prints. They weren't mine. I wear Vibram soles, and these had a different tread. Rounder, and they were deep, like someone carrying a pack or something heavy. They were headed the same direction I was. That's when I noticed something else. The prints didn't come from anywhere. No trail leading into them. Just started partway down the ravine. Like the person dropped in from above, or had been standing still for a long time. I picked up my pace. Not running, but not wasting time. I had about 4 miles left until I'd reached the upper trailhead where my truck was parked. Then I saw him. He was maybe 300 yards ahead, standing in the shade of a rock outcropping. Tall, thin, wearing jeans and what looked like a brown work jacket. His face was in shadow, just standing there, not moving. I froze. He didn't wave, didn't call out, just stood with his arms at his sides watching. Something in my gut told me not to call out, not to make contact. So I turned off the trail, climbed partway up the ravine wall and looped around. It took me an extra hour, but I didn't see him again. At the top, when I finally reached the dirt road and spotted my truck, I felt this wave of relief so strong I nearly dropped to my knees. I got inside, locked the doors, and just sat there in the heat for a while, trying to steady my breathing. Then I noticed something on the hood. Dusty fingerprint smudges. Just a few. Like someone had leaned on it recently. I looked around, nothing. Just open scrubland and the endless blue sky. I drove fast. Didn't stop until I hit a gas station an hour away. I didn't tell the clerk anything, didn't call the cops. What was I going to say? Some guy stood still in a ravine and now I'm scared. But here's the part that still keeps me up. About a week later, I was scrolling through the local subreddit just out of curiosity, and I saw a thread titled, "Anyone ever hike the Gila and see the ravine man?" Well, I clicked it. Dozens of comments. People describing the same thing. A man in brown. Dull, doesn't speak. Sometimes he watches from a distance. Sometimes people hear him walking around their tent. One guy said he found a hole dug near where he'd been sleeping. Another said he turned around after seeing him and later found a rock pile on his car hood. No one else ever caught him. Rangers say it's just stories or a hermit living off-grid. But I know what I saw. And every time I go to clean my truck, I still find dust smudges on the hood. Even when I haven't parked it anywhere near the woods.